Hi and welcome to this video. In this video we're going to be talking about the Unity's component object model. So you've already seen in Unity, you've played around with the editor a little bit, and you've seen that you have game objects and you have components and you have an editor view. So what does all this stuff mean? What does the inspector view mean? Well, in Unity, game objects are really simple things. They're almost empty. It's like you have an empty template for something. And these game objects have components. A very classic one is the transform component. Almost every game object has a transform component that you can access. That simply says where it is in the game space, right? And so other components, for example, are the renderer. Something might be rendered in a particular way. A sprite might have a sprite renderer component. And you can build your own components as well. So for example, scripts you create are components of game object. And that's how you add them to a game object. And that's actually what you see in the inspector. The inspector is simply the view of the components of an object, of a game object. And every component itself is the classical C# object. So you have the game object, which is a Unity entity, that has components which are C# objects, basically. And a great analogy for that is essentially Legos. You have a construction, which would be like your game object, which has components which are like Lego blocks. So each block is a component that makes up a whole.
So you may be inspecting here your paddle in your 3D Pong game, and it may have on it a renderer component, it may have on it a transform component, as Brice mentioned. It's got all these components kind of bolted together into the game object. And when you go into the inspector, you're looking at all of these different parts and seeing that they're all fitting together to make a coherent thing called a spaceship. And the other thing that you may have come across is something called a prefab. So what a prefab is like imagine I'm the guy in the Lego factory and I've decided, oh, this looks cool. This game object, this thing I've made here is a spaceship. I'm going to now make a recipe for that. So if you were to drag your game object down into your assets, it would turn into a prefab. And what that's saying is it's encapsulating the recipe for building like this. It's like putting the build instructions together. So that's basically how Lego's made. They prototype it and then they write out how it's made, and that's what a prefab is. It allows you to take it from your assets and say, drop me a spaceship, drop me a paddle, drop me a enemy, whatever it is. So,
and you'll notice actually in that model, for example, there are two blue blocks, and that shows you that you can have two components at the same time for certain types of component, specifically for scripts, right? So for example, that spaceship could have two scripts component attached to it, which would be the two different blue blocks. And if I wanted to get one particular component, let's say I wanted to get the renderer component, you pull that later, I would use the getComponent method on my game object. And that would look at the component that are currently attached and get me the component. So getComponent renderer, please.
Yep,
and
so there's your renderer.
Give me this one. Now, I want to get component, let's say wings.
Okay, so there are your wings.
And get component chimney. Is there a chimney on there?
There's no chimney. So I'm going to return null. I don't have a chimney, null. Now, by the way, when he gets these components, it's not actually pulling the object apart. We're pulling the object apart for the example. But what you're doing is you're just getting a handle programmatically on that component so that you can then do things to it. So you could take the wings, you could say get component wings. You're not taking them off the object, you're not pulling it apart. But you could then change their length or reconfigure them or change their color or something else. You're getting a handle on that part of your game object.
Yeah.
So that's it really. That's what you see over in the inspector. You see a game object and all its components.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next video.
Thank you.